Yeah, glad to be in your midst, and it's such an opportunity. Thank you so much, Leadtots, for this opportunity to speak with the future of Nigeria. Yeah, because I have a limited time, I would like to observe all protocols and move straight, to my presentation. And I will be sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay. So this afternoon, I will be talking about female participation in society and governance. And like Sharon has said, I am Mercy Shosanya. Yeah, we're going to be doing this group activity towards the end of my talk. And so we'll come back to this. Yeah. So remember, I'm talking about female participation in society and governance. So what is society? Can anyone tell me what is society from your own understanding?
Okay, if you want to speak, you can talk on the chat room or you lift your hands up and I will permit you to speak.
Okay. Is anyone answering? I can't see everyone. Okay, let me see. Okay, society is the circle. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very good one. Okay, so because of our time, I'll just move on. Is there? Let me just quickly check. Yeah, it's a group of people living together. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it is a group of people living together in persistent social interaction. They're living together and they're constantly interacting with one another. That's society. Um, Society is also a large social group, living in the same geographical or social territory and having the same political authority and dominant cultural expectations. Let me just check, since I have some more. Yeah, people in general thought of as living together in organized communities with shared laws, traditions, and values. Thank you very much. Group of people that share codes and value. And okay, good. Thank you so much for all the contributions. So it's a group living in the same geographical or social territory and having the same political authority and dominant cultural expectations. Yeah. And what is governance? Because of time, I'll just quickly rush through. So governance is the process by which society or groups within a society make decisions. And usually it determines who has the power to make decisions. It also determines how other players make their voices heard, and it also determines how account is rendered to the whole society. So I said governance is how society or groups within a society organize themselves to make decisions. And I said that it determines who has power to make decisions, but governance doesn't only involve those who are making the decisions. It also involves how the other people in that society make their voices heard, and then it also involves the rendering of account from the people governing to the people that they are governing, from the people who are in government to the people that they are governing. Thank you. So it's also the exercise of political, economic, and administrative authority in managing a country's or society's affairs. That is governance. Yeah. So female participation in society and governance. I'm actually trying to define the terms here. So what is female participation in society and governance? It has to do with women's contribution to society, leadership, and engagement in the decision-making processes in their communities. Female participation in society and governance involves women's contribution to society, women's contribution to leadership, and women's contribution to engagement in decision-making processes in their communities. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, why is female participation important? So there are numerous arguments why female participation is important, and we're going to be looking at some of those arguments. And after looking at those arguments, I think we have 6 arguments instead. After looking at the 6 arguments, we're also going to look at other factors that make it necessary for females to be involved in governance and in the leadership of society. Yeah. So the first argument we're going to be looking at is the argument of justice. When women are involved in governance and, in decision making in the society, that means that justice is being done. And why am I saying that? This is because women make up about half of the global population, and women also make up about half of the Nigerian population. The percentage of women in Nigeria is about 49.33%. So that's almost half. So women have to be involved, they have to be represented, because if they are not, then that is not fair. That's an infringement on their rights. Now, Ben Franklin has, defined democracy as, he has likened it to two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner. You have two wolves, you have one sheep, they are trying to decide on what they are going to eat for dinner. What do you think they will decide to eat? What do you think the wolves will decide to eat? Anyone? If you have two wolves and a sheep living in the same house and they want to decide on what they are going to eat that evening, the sheep. That's simply it. Is the sheep that the wolves will decide to eat. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. But if the sheep is involved in that decision, will the sheep decide that everybody should eat the sheep? Anyone? Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, thank you very much. So that's what it's all about. So everybody that is represented, that is, that makes up a part of a society, must be represented in the leadership of that society, so that their own interests will also be protected. Thank you very much for all the contributions. Yeah, thank you so much for the contributions. So since women make up half of the global population and half of the Nigerian population, they have a right to be represented in the government, even if they're not up to half, as long as they make up the society from which that government was elected, they have a right to be represented in that government. Yeah. So the justice argument is the first argument. The second argument is the experience argument. Why is it important for females to be involved in, in governance? Another reason is because of experience. Men's experiences in life are different from women's experiences. For instance, a man does not know what it feels like to menstruate, but women understand menstruation. So if there is any legislation that involves menstruation, a woman will understand it better because she has experienced it better. So that is why women need to be represented in government. And women's experiences must also reflect in policy making and implementation, because our experiences are different. For instance, it's women that go through the process of childbirth. And so a man does not understand what it feels like to give birth to a child. So he will not definitely be able to understand, how it feels. So when it comes to legislation involving childbirth, maternity leave and things like that, a woman will understand it better because she's been through it. So because our experiences are different, we have to be represented in government, or else our interests will not be, they will be overlooked. For instance, I have a picture here of this woman. Her name is Theresa Kachin Damoto. She's one of the high chiefs in Malawi. In fact, she was just working on her own, as an educator, and then her community came and insisted, her family and her community came and insisted that she must come and be the chief in their community. And she had to leave her job and come and sit down as the high chief of the community. And when she got there, she discovered that girls of 10 years, 11 years were getting married and having children at 12 years of age. And they were not going to school. They were poor. For many of them, it was because the families were poor and they were indebted to people. They gave their daughters so that, out for marriage, so that they could make money to take care of their own families. You get what I'm trying to say? And so this woman saw that it was an injustice for a 12-year-old child who should still be, a child in the house, taken care of, to be getting married. And what did she do? She has dissolved about 3,500 marriages in Malawi, in the places where she's leading. She has dissolved those marriages. Apart from that, there were so many other customs and traditions that were really not helping the girls and women in the community. For instance, when a girl starts her first menstrual period, they carry like 20 or 30 girls to a place, in the bush, and one man will sleep with all of those girls, that they are trying to remove the dust of childhood from those girls. And that was how they were spreading HIV/AIDS in the community. Another thing too is that if a man and a woman, they are unable to have children, then what will happen? The family of the lady and the family of the man, they will arrange for the lady to go to her father's house and stay there. They will arrange for another man to come and sleep with her and get her pregnant so that she can have a child. And they will tell the woman not to tell the husband. So she met all of these, traditions and customs that were not helping anyone. They were spreading HIV/AIDS. They were making the women even poorer, because a 12-year-old who is already married, doesn't have any education, doesn't have anything, any source of income. And so she grows up in poverty, and, intergenerational poverty continues. So this woman, when she became a high chief, because she was educated, she insisted that child marriage must end in her community. And so she enlisted the help of all the community members, and she has dissolved about 3,500 child marriages. She will send the girls to school. There are even boys that get married at 12. She would dissolve all those marriages, send all of them to school. Some of the parents will say they don't have money to pay for the education. She will pay from her own money for those children's education. So it's because she's a woman and she understands what it is like to be a woman. That's why she could stand and do what she has done. So our experiences are different. So our experiences must be reflected in policy making and implementation. Our interests are also different. Men have different interests, and women have different interests, and many a times our interests are conflicting. For instance, when a man has a lot of money in his pocket, one of the first things he thinks of is to gather his friends together for them to go and eat suya. Am I correct? Koba Akaba. Are we together? Yeah. Yes, he will gather his friends. They will go together and eat suya and, drink kunu and all of that. But a woman, when she has money, what will she do? She will gather that little money that she has in her pocket and make food for her family members, make food for her children. How can I? Thank you very much. How can I? She'll make food for her children. So our interests are different. What we do, our priorities are different. What we do with money, what we do with resources is different. And so if we are not represented in leadership, our interests will also not be represented. And you remember that when a woman is in leadership, her interests are not for herself alone, but she's thinking of the family, she's thinking of the society. But many men are thinking of their own pockets and how they can benefit personally. I'm not saying that men are not honest or people of integrity, but I'm saying that when it comes to priorities, our priorities are different. Yeah. So another thing is that, the critical mass. The critical mass means how many of our type do we find in leadership? How many of our type do we find in leadership? Now, the truth is that the more women are in leadership, the more the more we can represent each other and our interests better. For instance, like Sheon said earlier, I was the head of department at the Federal Polytechnic, Bauchi. And there were only 3 of us that were women as heads of departments out of 33 departments. And so before I became the head of department, there were only 2 women as heads of departments. And so I joined in. And, they had been pushing issues of maternity leave and other things like that. But because the women are few, if they bring it up, they will easily, just, put an end to those discussions because the women were not many. But the more women we had, the more we were able to push for the things that would benefit other women, and not just benefiting women, benefiting the whole of society altogether. So the critical mass, we need to build a critical mass of women in leadership, meaning that we need to begin to accumulate more women in leadership so that as we accumulate them, then we'll be able to represent women even better in leadership. Yeah. Okay, so another reason is that, the symbols. When women see other women in leadership, they get attracted to leadership. They get what? They get attracted to leadership, when they see other women that are in leadership. They get attracted to political office. if they have role models in the arena. So we need to increase the number of women so that it will be attractive to many more women, and then they can also participate. So the sixth argument is the democracy argument. Equal representation enhances democratization of governance, meaning, government democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people. Thank you very much. I'm seeing some charts, example of such women. They tend to understand leadership and inclusiveness. Yeah, thank you so much for all the good comments that are there in the chats. Yeah, and people like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and all of that. So we'll be talking about some of them later. Yeah. Okay, so the democracy argument is one of them, because when we have equal representation of every group in the society, then we can actually have a true government of the people, for the people, by the people, not just government of the people by a few, for the few. No, we want government of the people, for the people, by the people. So when females participate in government, there's equal representation. Yeah. Okay, so now another reason why females should participate is that when you exclude women, it's like running with one leg or clapping with one hand. Can we try? Can you just clap with one hand? Each person clap with one hand. Let me see you. How does it sound? Can we all clap with one hand? I'm not seeing anybody clapping with one hand, though. Please clap. Let me see you. Is it possible to clap with one hand? No. But if you clap with the two hands, you can see how it sounds. I'm clapping with one hand. Can you hear anything? No, it doesn't work. But if you want to run with one leg, how easy will it be to run with one leg? But when we exclude women from government, that's exactly what we are doing. Another reason is that women are the custodians of life. So because they are the custodians of life, definitely they will do everything they can to preserve lives. We have seen it in the management of the coronavirus. Countries that are headed by women, they manage the coronavirus situation much better than countries that were not headed by women, because women are the custodians of life. We value life because we are the ones who go through the pains to bring life, back into the world, through giving birth. So now, another reason is that when women influence decision-making, it reduces poverty for everyone. I've told you that if a woman has money, the first thing she will do is what? She will make sure that there is food in the house for the children to eat, even if she doesn't eat. But a man can have money in his pocket and decide not to drop money in the house for the family to eat. He can go outside and go and eat, and talk with his friends and all of that. So those are issues, those are problems, So that's why we need to involve women in leadership. Yeah. All right. So another reason is that, women are able to manage money even better than men to a very large extent. Give a woman 200 naira, even give her 100 naira. She will make you a good pot of soup that can go around and, feed everybody. She will make you a good pot of soup with a little amount of money. And research has shown that when women are involved in the management of public money, the money is better spent. In fact, some research papers have shown that companies that have more women in their management board, they actually generate 66% higher return on investments on their capital than companies that have more men on their management boards or their management teams. So when women are involved in leadership, there is more public money available because they're able to generate a lot more money and they're able to spend it more, in a more prudent manner. Now, another thing is that when women are involved in, leadership, it improves local and national services. I was talking about the management of the coronavirus situation. In Germany is managed by a woman, Angela Merkel, and New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, Denmark's Mette Frederiksen, Taiwan's Tsai Ing-wen, and Finland's Sanna, they handled COVID-19 better than all the other countries that are managed by men. You can imagine that. So, our own Professor Dora Akunyili, when she became the head of NAFDAC, what happened? We saw how NAFDAC was transformed, how NAFDAC was changed completely, and things began to work in a country that things don't normally work well in. You can imagine that. Thank you so much for all the comments that are coming in. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, good. Somebody is saying that some women don't really spend prudently. For instance, our former NNPC boss is a question mark. Thank you very much. So it's very important we balance the perspectives. I'm talking in terms of the general, occurrences, the way that women generally behave. You have some exceptions to the rule, and that happens to every rule in life. There are some exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, okay, can we all talk? Generally speaking, do we agree that women manage money better than men? Generally speaking, I'm not talking about the exceptions to the rule. Yeah, I hope it is not only the women that are saying yes. I hope men are also saying yes. Good. Somebody said her mother is a good example. Michael Ojo, thank you very much for saying your mother is a good example. Thank you very much. So we need to balance things up. Yeah. Okay. So like I was saying, women are better financial managers, and look at how they've managed COVID. And then I talked about our own Professor Dora Akunyili, though she's late now, but she transformed everything. So what are the other reasons why female participation is important? It's important because it gives us the double benefit of advocating for children's rights, meaning that if a woman is involved in leadership, she will not forget her children. And so if women make up about half of the population of Nigeria and children make up about, let's say, 30%, let's say 20%, in addition to that, it means that the percentage of people represented in government has increased, because the woman is not only representing herself, she's also representing the children. So the percentage of people represented has increased when we involve women in leadership. And so the next point I want to make why female participation is important is that there is no gender difference in intellectual capability, in innovation, and in leadership capacity. There is no differences in the genders, meaning that men can be, thank you very much, women make up about 47% of registered voters in 2019 general elections. Thank you so much for that. So, yeah. So I was saying that when I was trying to explain that there is no difference in the genders in intellectual capacity, in innovation, and in leadership capacity. So we need to understand that, because sometimes we feel that, men are better leaders, women don't know how to lead. I want to give you reasons why that is not so. Yeah. So still talking about why female participation, and remember, I'm talking about, the fact that there is no differences in the genders in leadership capacity, in intellectual capacity, and all that. But what we have is that we have differences in the way and the perspectives with which we view things. And so looking at our own, physiological makeup, we will see that men have a left brain dominance, meaning that the left side of the brain is more, developed in men, while the right side of the brain is more developed in women, but women also use the left brain. All right. And so the left brain dominance means that, the left brain is what controls our analytical skills, how we're able to analyze issues, how we're able to reason logically and, sequentially, and all of that. So men are very good at analyzing situations. For instance, if I'm trying to convince my husband to do something, he will tell me, give me 5 reasons why I should do it. So I have to look for plenty reasons that, are logically, that I can explain logically, going from A to B to C. You understand what I'm trying to say? So women and men are that different. Men are more analytical, more sequential, more logical, and more detailed in terms of analysis and reasoning. But women have a right brain dominance, okay? And they also use their left brain as well. But that right brain dominance means that we are not as analytical as men, we are not as logical, but we are very creative. We are non-linear. We don't think in a straight line. Men usually think in a straight line. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That's how men think, clear, straight. But women, we jump steps in our thinking. And that helps us to think sometimes far ahead and get to the end of a matter before, while the man is still trying to struggle to analyze, all the steps inside it. So we have a right brain dominance. So we are more creative. That's why a woman can get into an empty house, and with a little amount of money, she can furnish that house, and that house will look beautiful. That's why a woman can pick different colors of paint and, do a beautiful artwork on her face. We are more creative. And then, like I said, we are non-linear. We jump steps in our thinking, and we are intuitive, and we are holistic. We see the big picture better. When I say intuitive, meaning that we can easily sense things. We may not be able to explain the details, but we can sense things. And that ability actually protects our families a lot from harm. There are some times that a woman doesn't know why she feels bad, but she just knows that she's not feeling good about her child. And the next thing, she will get up and go and look for that child. You will find out that that child is in trouble. You understand? And then she will quickly save the child. So that's how it is. We are more creative, more nonlinear, intuitive, and holistic. Yeah. Thank you for all the chats. I may not be able to look at everything while I'm talking. Yeah. So women are more likely to see the big picture. We see the big picture. Men think in bits and pieces because they want to analyze all the details. Women have stronger emotions. A woman can come into a place and meet somebody who is hungry. The man will not know that the person is hungry, but the woman will know, just because she can sense people's emotions from their faces. Okay. And to a large extent, we rely on our intuition for decision making than men. Like I said, men are logical, but women feel it, they sense it, and then that makes them to take steps, and usually they save, the situations that way in so many situations. Yeah. So how does this right brain, left brain dichotomy affect leadership? How does the right brain, left brain dichotomy affect leadership? Communication is one of them. Women, because of our right brain, our emotions, and all of that, we use like 8,000 to 10,000 words each day and gestures each day. We talk a lot. So we are better communicators. We are able to, speak the minds of people more than men. Men use about 4,000 words and about 3,000 gestures, hand movements each day. But women use about 8,000 words and up to 10,000 hand movements, hand gestures each day. So we're able to communicate better. We're able to, get to the root of matters very quickly because we are able to, feel people's thinking, and we put it in words, and then everybody understands it clearly. That's why women make better teachers than men. Yeah. Another reason too is that, our brains are more emotional while men are more rational. So I'm trying to look at the differences between women and men. Now, when it comes to tasks, men like to do one thing at a time and finish that thing before they go to the next thing. But a woman, she'll be using one hand to cook. She's using one hand to breastfeed her baby. She's using the other hand to, make a call, and then she's also dressing another baby up. So women can do so many things at the same time. That's why one woman can be working, she can be selling, she can be doing so many things. Women are, we multitask a lot, and that's a good thing. It's a blessing. Yeah. And then attention to details. Women absorb and store more information than men. If a woman if a woman meets somebody, what happens? She can describe the details of the clothes that person was wearing. But how many men, ask them, when you saw this person yesterday, what was the person wearing? How many men can tell you what somebody was wearing? They don't look at those details, but women look at all of those details. We absorb and store more information than men. So therefore, we pay more attention to details than men do. When you prepare a budget and bring it up for discussion, the men will just look at the total figure. Okay, how much is this? And then they want to pass it. But a woman wants to look at every 10 naira. How much? What is this 10 naira going to be used for? Why is it going to be used for that? So that's just how we are. And so when it comes to stress, men tend to deal with stress much more easily than women because women are more emotional. So you see, I am not only saying men are the best or women are the best. What I'm just trying to say is that we complement each other. We all complement each other. Yeah. So men deal with stress much more easily than women because women are more emotional than men. So stress gets to them more easily. Okay, so men exhibit better logical skills than women, while women exhibit better language skills than men. Yeah. So I have to run now. So women and men have important skill areas in which they naturally excel. So the point I am trying to make here, I'm not trying to put men down. I'm trying to bring out the differences and tell you that we need both men and women in leadership, because the men have their own areas of strength while the women also have their own areas of strength. So relying primarily on the strength of just one gender as leaders can result in an imbalance of perspectives and ideas. Are you following me? Yeah. So collaborative leadership leads to more innovative thinking. So while the men are advising, the women can bringing in their innovation and creativity. And by the time we add all of that together, we will have a better society. It leads to greater productivity, it leads to higher profits and better competitive advantage, because we're able to take care of all the perspectives and all the sides of that particular thing we're talking about, because we have looked at things from different perspectives. Yeah. So it also leads to better relationship building and collaboration. I told you women are more emotional. So when the men are not able to know that people are hungry, women can sense it and bring it to the table, and a decision will be taken to solve that problem. It leads to improved health and safety. For instance, even in science, all the research that was done on men, I hope you can still hear me. Hope you can still hear me. All the research that was done on men. Yeah. And so you find out that something like airbags in cars that prevent accidents, that help people prevent people from getting injured when they have accidents. When that research was done, women were not involved in that research. And what happened? The first set of airbags that were made to suit the body and strength of a man. And so the first few women that used those airbags, the airbags killed them because they were not involved in that research to know that everybody doesn't have the same strength and everybody doesn't have the same body size. So women, when women are involved, it helps to improve their health and safety. And another thing I want to look at is that it is a basic human right for women to be included on the decision table. It is a basic human right. Women must be represented on the decision table because they are an integral part of the society. So I want to quickly now look at the human rights, documents that enshrine the rights of women to be involved in decision making. So we have the convention. I will just run through this. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, that's the CEDAW of 1979, stresses the equality of genders across human rights and freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or any other field. I want to tell you that as long as we are all made by God, we are all equal under God. Have I said that because of that, we do not have different roles in the family? No. We are all equal under God. God sees us as equal individuals, but then God has given us different roles in the family. A man has his role, a woman has his role in the family, but we are all equal. And so a man should respect a woman for the roles, because a man cannot give birth. That's the role of a woman. A woman cannot impregnate herself. That's the role of a man. Everybody has different roles under God, but we are all equal under God. So each party must respect the other person's roles. I respect your role as a man, you respect my role as a woman, and society and life is okay. This is not a fight, a tussle for power that, we too, we are, no. Everybody mind your own responsibilities and your roles. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah. So we also have the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. I will run through them because somebody else is going to talk about human rights. And this affirms gender equality as a human right and commits governments to enhancing women's rights. I hope I'm not shaking tables too much here. It's okay. Yeah. So we also have the UN Millennium Declaration of 2000 and then the SDGs, and all of that. So I won't dwell too much on this because somebody else is going to talk about this. All right. So Nigeria's gender policy targets 35% representation of women in all political and non-elective positions. That is what we call affirmative action. That is what our government is trying to do. But to be very honest with you, we are very, very far from that goal. Since where are we today? Since 1999, not up to 10% of women are found in elective positions in our country. We have never had a female vice president or president. In 2011, there was only one female contestant for president, and that female contestant did not scale the primaries. She only had one vote, meaning she was the only one that voted for herself. Even women did not vote for her. In 2015, 5 out of 14 women voted for VP. There was no vied for the post of VP, but no woman vied for the post of president. Now, my chart stops at 2015 because I didn't have time to update it to include the 2019 election. But the truth is that we had 7 women in 7 female senators in 2015. Now we have 8. What is the difference? Mene Bambanchi. What's the difference? What have we accomplished? So look at it. Since 1999, we had 7 female senators, 2003, 4, 2007, 9, 2011, 7, 2015, 7, and then 2019, we have 8. So we are still at square zero. We started with 7. We are on 8. Over how many years? You see? Thank you very much for your comments. So look at our state houses of assembly. In Nigeria, we have, in all the 36 states, we have 990 seats in the houses of assembly all together. In 1999, only 24 women in the whole country. In 36 states, only 24 women. In 2003, 40. In 2007, 57. In 2011, 68. This year, we are down to 51. In 2019, we are down to 51 women in the state houses of assembly. You can see that we are not even making progress in increasing. And we are looking for 35%. 68 out of 990 is not even up to 10%. That's where we are currently. Yeah. So after having talked about why it is important, I've talked about why female participation is important. And then I've also, talked about, what our goal is to reach 35%. But the truth is that we are not yet there. We are still less than 10% when it comes to representation. So what are the challenges to female participation? So in the first place, education in terms of literacy, political and economic education and experience. Many women are not educated. I think the other day I was seeing that we don't even have up to 50% of women in our country as educated, as in having a secondary education. Education is so low. So a woman who is not educated, how can she, get into the limelight, and how can she, contest? How can she campaign? How can she know what is expected of her in political office? So our women don't even have the basic literacy. Even the ones who are educated don't even have any political literacy at all. For many women, we don't know how government works. Nobody has called us to teach us and say, this is how you do it in government, this is how you behave, this is what you do, this is how you win elections, this is how you contest, this is how you campaign. So we don't have political literacy. Even economic education, as hardworking as women are, they are still poor because we don't have economic education. And we don't have experience, no political experience. So how can we get involved in leadership? How can we get involved in politics? Then another thing too is our culture and our religion. We live in a patriarchal society, and the belief is that women must stay out of politics. So that is a gender stereotype. That's gender stereotyping. Women must not be involved in politics. Women must not be involved in government. But you have seen all the reasons I have given you why women should be involved in government. You see, but that's a barrier. So how can we, in the group activity we are going to do, how can we address these issues, especially the issue of culture and religion? Thank you very much for the statistics on education. How can we do that? I want you to address that in your because the thing is that if we are able to understand it in our religion that women need to be involved in leadership and politics based on all the reasons that I've given you, then we will be able to make a lot of change, because a lot of people belong to one religion or the other in the country. We all have our different cultures. So if our cultures can recognize the importance of women being involved in leadership, then fine, we're going to make a lot of progress. Another thing is the violent nature of politics. Oh my God, we all know what politics is like in Nigeria, and in many countries of the world, it's so violent. People get killed, and women don't like violence. Women just want to do their own business, mind their business, take care of their children. And so because of that, it's a problem. It's a problem. Yeah. So another thing is, psychology, gender stereotypes. Even the women themselves do not believe that they have the capacity to lead. Women do not believe they have the capacity to lead. So we have gender stereotypes. A woman has been brought up to know that she must never be involved in politics. She must never be involved in leadership. Oh, that one is for men, and so we leave it for them. But no, that's not how it ought to be. So these different reasons, they are planted in women's minds from when they are very small on why they should not be involved. They will tell you, you think of your children, no, hey, you better be at home taking care of your kids. Or they'll tell you, many political meetings take place in the night around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. That's when political meetings take place. The decisions, the heavy decisions are made in those meetings. They'll say, a woman that is staying out at such a time, she must be promiscuous. She knows she must be she must be, loose. She's sleeping around. That's why. No, you can be involved in those meetings and maintain your integrity. When everybody knows who you are and what you stand for, nobody will come to you with those kinds of things. Those are things that can be done. Poverty and disempowerment. Women don't even have the wealth and resources to be able to get involved in politics. Do you know that currently now, if you are going to buy the form for presidential nomination, you have to have 45 million naira. That's the cost. Before it was 27.2 million naira. In 2019, it was raised to 45 million naira. How many women have 45 million naira that they can give out just like that, just to buy form for politics? So we need to empower our women. So poverty and disempowerment is also a problem. Yeah. So, okay. So I've talked about the challenges. So now what can we do? Now, remember I said that being involved in governance and participating in decision-making in society, it's a right. And once there's a human right, it must be fulfilled. And who is the primary duty bearer to fulfill that right? The person with the primary responsibility, that is the duty bearer. The person with the primary responsibility to fulfill that right, that is called the duty bearer. The primary duty bearers we have is the government. The government must go ahead and don't just, believe in this affirmative action by mouth, but the government must do everything they can to encourage women to participate in governance and make it easy through empowerment, education, and all the other things for women to, participate in government. You get the point? So the government is the primary duty bearer to ensure that there is enough representation. So there are so many ways to do that. We'll look at a case study of Rwanda very soon. Now, male and female leaders are also duty bearers to ensure that women are involved in governance. If you are a male leader, educate the women around you, empower the women around you, teach them about politics, sponsor them, help them to rise in leadership, because when they rise, they bring their creativity, and your own government even becomes more successful and prosperous because women are bringing their creativity, their management skills, and everything. So male leaders. Female leaders, women, we have been accused of being the ones tearing ourselves apart. When a woman is rising, it's other women that we gather together to pull her down, to tear her, to bring her down. No, it must change. We must begin to support ourselves in leadership. When a woman is rising, other women should join together to push her up, because the more the one on top rises, the more others under are going to rise. And those of us who have risen and we are on top, we should not push other people down. We women, we should lift other women. We should bring them up. begin to have mentees. Get this person. I want to mentor you. I want you to apply for this position. I want you to contest for this. Come, I will show you how to do it. Those of us women who are already in leadership, that's what we should do. So you are a student union leader and you are the only female, you know, you are the only female, right? You don't feel good that you are the only female amongst men. No, you should do everything to ensure that there are more women on the table. Thank you very much for the chats. Yeah. So let's talk about Rwanda very briefly. Now, Rwanda in the whole world has the highest representation of women in government. And I'm so glad that that's an African country just like us. They have the highest female representation in government. They have 38.5% of senators as women in Rwanda. What do? They have quota systems. They have a specific number of offices that must be filled by women, and nothing touches those offices. So if they don't find any woman to fill those offices remain unfilled. You get the point? So they have quota systems. So that now makes sure that women are, women strive to become senators. They strive to get into elective offices. But you see, the interesting thing about it is that the women are plenty in Rwanda, but they are yet not effective because they don't even talk. From what I gathered in their Senate, they are not making enough contribution, but at least they are there, right? So if when it comes to voting, they will vote for what, concerns women. So women, as we are rising, as we are moving up into elective positions, let's not just go there to go and, occupy space. Let us not go there to occupy space. We need to go there to do what? To ensure that our voices are heard, and the women that we are representing, their voices are also heard. When I was the head of department, I can tell you that some of the other women that were in the, management level, some of the other women, they will come to the meetings, and all through the meeting, they are playing on their phone, they are making phone calls, typing text messages and all of that. I made sure that I was involved in, there were decisions that they could not take without me, as in, I refused to accept those decisions, and they kept wanting to just sweep it under the carpet and go. I said, no, excuse me, this cannot be done because of this reason, that reason, that reason. I had to learn to speak the language of logic that men understand. And as I was able to do that, I was able to make my points clear, and my points were taken into consideration in the decisions that were made. So women, we shouldn't just get to power and go there and be pressing phone while other men are making, inputs. We are there. We have a responsibility to represent the other women in the society that are not in that government. So what else can we do? We need to ensure that we help with the realization of the SDGs. We all know the SDGs, and I'm not going to waste time on that. We need to end poverty, end hunger, ensure healthy lives, inclusive and equitable quality education, gender equality and empowerment for all women and girls, sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, peaceful and inclusive societies, and all of that. We need to do all of that. What else can we do? We need to get involved in pre-electoral training of women. Okay, let me just quickly read this comment here. Okay, women will not want to get involved because of violence, health-wise, beauty-wise. But if we continue to think this way, there is no way we can participate. And I will tell you of women, thank you very much for that comment. I will also tell you in this presentation very soon of women that were able to transform violent societies into peaceful societies. I will tell you about them very soon. So what can we do? So pre-electoral training of women candidates on transformative leadership and politics. And that's why I'm so happy at what Leadtots is doing, because Leadtots is involving women. Leadtots, please increase the quota of women that you are training. It will help us a lot. And I know Leadtots has actually done a lot to sponsor different candidates, to give them pre-electoral training. Thank you very much for doing that. Please keep doing this. And those women who are being trained, don't just get the training for yourself. Make sure you reach back and pick another woman and train. So we need to also carry out dialogue and advocacy to political leaders and other stakeholders for electoral reform. And then we need to support and sponsor women candidates. I told you many women don't have the money for politics. We need to also help them, have what it takes to do that. What else can we do? Voter education, girl child education, like we have said earlier. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of these comments. So girl child education, we need to reduce gender-based violence. One of the things that has quietened women and silenced women is gender-based violence. If she talks in her father's house, she will be beaten. So she keeps quiet. She enters her husband's house. If she talks, she will be beaten. She will be, assaulted and all of that. If she talks, they will threaten her that they will kill her and things like that. And so the woman, just cowers back and she becomes timid. But that's not how it ought to be. So we need to work on reducing gender-based violence. That's why I'm happy at the work of Barrister Amina Garuba, who is really pushing for the reduction of gender-based violence, in Bauchi State. And I'm sure she will take that national very soon, hopefully. Yeah, we also need to provide health and basic services for women. A woman who is not healthy, who is malnourished, how can she even think of getting involved in leadership or politics? She will not. We need to ensure that women are healthy, women have enough food, and their children are also healthy, because if their children are not, they will not want to be involved in leadership or politics. We need to do that. Then we need to ensure easy access to information for women, so that women can actually be informed and know what to do when they get to those places, and even know what their rights are and what their responsibilities are in society. And we also need to eliminate gender stereotypes. We need to tell the girls that are growing up that yes, you can do it. There is no limitation to what you can achieve as long as you put your heart to it. Yeah. So what else can we do? He for she. Men, I want to encourage you to mentor and promote women. For instance, Malala Yousafzai. All of us talk about Malala. All of us, we know Malala. Yes, she's very popular. She won a Nobel Prize. She did this, she did that. Do you know that it was her dad that mentored her to do all that she's doing? It was her father. It was her father that pushed her to start speaking up against, the repression of women in Pakistan. So it was her father. But now we don't even hear the father's name. It is the Malala's name that we hear, because the man mentored and promoted his daughter. So we need to do that. Even the NASA scientists of Hidden Figures, if you've watched the film, you will find out that for many of them, it was their fathers that actually helped them to get interested in mathematics, that made them to stand out. Thank you very much. All right. So women, we need to support women. I've said it before that women, we are the ones that tear ourselves down. We are the ones that pull ourselves down. No, it has to change. We shouldn't feel threatened when other women are rising, because when women rise, we all rise. Don't be threatened when women are rising, because when we rise, we all rise. And women, believe in yourselves. Even if nobody else believes in you, believe in yourself, because you can do it. Like I told you, for me, I've always been in a situation where wherever I am, I excel. I've never felt threatened by a man that, oh, because there are men here, I should not. No. I have my own light to shine. You have your own lights to shine. There's enough space in the sky for every star to shine. So believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it, and you will accomplish it. And another thing that we also need to do as women is that we need to organize our families to work well along with our leadership roles. Because for many women, once they get involved in leadership, they abandon their children, abandon their husbands. No husband likes that. No husband is happy to see that. I hope you're following me. Nobody wants that. And you, the woman, you will. Thank you very much for all the comments. You, the woman, you will also be happier when your home is working well and, everything is functioning properly. Let me give you examples, simple examples. For me, I know that I'm a career woman, and I know that my family is very important to me. I value my family so much. So what do? I have all kinds of, gadgets that help me to do things quickly. I teach my children how to do this or do that, so that they can also be helpful. And, the work burden will not be too much on me, and my house can be well organized. When I went to do my master's, I knew that I was going to be traveling far away. What did I do? We ensured we got a generator. For if you want to go into politics, these are things that can help you. We got a generator that can carry our freezer. And we cook food. And we cook like 6 different types of soup, and pack it for 1 month that my family will eat, so that once it is time for food, my oldest daughter can bring out soup and warm it and make the tuwo or make the swallow food, to go with it. There's stew in the house. She can bring out rice and boil it and cook. If I'm not there, my husband can, he can always find something to eat. So the food is always available. And the every little opportunity I have to come home, I will rush home to come and to make sure that everything is working well in my house. That is very, very, very important. So you need to make sure that your family is working well, or else you will destroy your leadership career. You will destroy every other thing. Because if your family is not working well, people will be pointing to you as a bad example of women. And then once you become a bad example, people will say, no, I don't want my daughter to be in leadership because I don't want her to be like this person. You get the point. My wife cannot be like this woman that doesn't take care of her. Look at her children all over the streets. They are wearing rags. They are in tatters. No. Our families have to work well alongside our leadership rules. And let me tell you, some people say that you cannot eat your cake and have it. I can tell you that if you with proper planning, you can eat your cake and have it, meaning that you can do your career, do your politics, and your family will still work well. That's my own personal experience. I've been married for 20 years, and I think I have the right to speak as somebody who's been married for 20 years. Okay, so we'll just quickly go to outstanding women, and this is where I'm going to once I talk about the outstanding women, that will be the last thing I will do. So I mentioned Malala Yousafzai earlier on. Malala was, she's a girl that grew up in Pakistan. She's a Pakistani, born in Pakistan. And, she was going to school and everything was okay in Pakistan. Girls and boys could go to school freely. But all of a sudden, the government changed and you had this radical government coming in to take over, and they decided to stop girls from going to school. So Malala was in a school bus coming back from school when she was shot at. They shot at the school bus. They wanted to just destroy all the children that were going to school. They shot at her, but she survived that gunshot wound at 15. And, by that time, she started talking and speaking against the government, that why would the government stop them from, going to school, that the Islam that she knows allows children girls to be educated. But this other brand that they brought does not want girls to be educated. So she spoke against it. And that was why they were coming after her. She was shot at 15, but she escaped. She was able to survive. And eventually she continued. She began to write a blog, She began to write a journal for a foreign journalist who published all the evils that were taking place in Pakistan. And before you knew it, she got into the limelight. Malala has raised so many millions of dollars for girl child education in developing countries. Malala has also provided food for so many, this is an old figure, so many Syrian refugees in Lebanese schools, and she has pushed the United Nations to recommit to educating every child. She even intervened in the issue of Chibok girls. I remember when she came to Nigeria, when President Jonathan was still the president, and she spoke to Jonathan that day. I was shocked. I looked at this little girl. She just graduated from the university last year, 2019, meaning that she's still a very young girl. She spoke to the president with all seriousness. I felt bad. I really felt bad. Can you all still hear me? Can you hear me? Is everyone hearing me? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So,
yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. So she intervened in the issue of Chibok girls. And she won a Nobel Prize in 2015. Oh, this is another outstanding woman, Leima Gbowe. Oh, I love this woman so much. So much. Yeah, Leima Gbowe is a Liberian. Some of us who are old enough will realize that there was a war in Liberia that led to genocide, a lot of genocide. A lot of people millions of Liberians were killed during that war. It was a civil war. One tribe fighting against another tribe. And so Liberia was in turmoil for 14 solid years. I can tell you because I had personal experiences. In fact, I housed some refugees from Liberia while I was on campus. I stayed with them. You understand? I raised money, I raised funds for some refugees from Liberia while I was an undergraduate in the university. They left their country en masse in droves to escape the conflict. 14 years of civil war. So when people are talking about war in Nigeria, please don't listen to them. Oh, there's nothing positive about war. There's nothing good about it. So it was in 2003 that this woman's work ended 14 years of civil war in Nigeria, in Liberia. They had endured it. She started the Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace. And what did she do? She gathered women, united Christian women, Muslim women, rich women, poor women, brought all of them together and said, look, it is our sons that are fighting. It is our sons that are killing people. You know, you find out a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old is carrying gun and shooting. Even the children were so badly marred by this war. So this woman said, it is our husbands, it is our sons that are causing this wickedness, these killings and everything. We have to come together. She brought them, Muslims and Christians, praying in the same place. This woman organized that, gathered the women, Muslims, Christians, rich or poor or educated, none. She brought them all together for the purpose of ending that war. And what happened? How did they do it? They organized fasting and prayer, Muslims and Christians together in the same place. I saw the movies. I saw her biography, together praying, because the thing was beyond what they could handle. They organized peaceful protests. The next thing they did was a sex strike. That look, oh, if the men are not going to stop fighting, women do not give in. Don't yield to them at night. If they will not stop, and you know, men cannot do without that. So she understood the tools that she had that she could use, and they did that. And she refused to take no for an answer. And she insisted that all the parties must come together for a peace meeting in Ghana. That was when our president, Olusegun Obasanjo, you know, he was involved. And then Abdul Salam, General Abdul Salam Abubakar, he was involved in that peace meeting in Ghana. They invited all the warring factions to come for that peace meeting. The government said they will not go. The rebels in the bush said they will also not go for the meeting. This woman sent the women, go and find your sons inside the bush and tell them they must attend that meeting. You go to the government, tell them they must attend the meeting. And all the parties came for the meeting. And when they came, they were trying to resolve it and come to, you know, come to an agreement on how to end the war. Do you know what happened? They couldn't come to an agreement. The men wanted to, you know, to escape. They were struggling to escape from the meeting without signing the agreement. When the women, somebody hinted them that these women are about to escape from this meeting, they don't want to sign this agreement. The women formed a wall around the venue where they were meeting and blocked them. They said, you are not going anywhere until you sign a peace agreement. And do you know that the men were forced to sign that peace agreement by these women? They sat there for 3 days without food, without water. They said nobody is leaving this place without signing the agreement. And they signed the peace agreement. And then that was what led to the democratic election of the first female African president in the whole of history. And that woman is the next person I'm talking about, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. I'm sorry, I picture disappeared. I don't know what happened. When you know, the war had destroyed the Liberian economy, Liberian life, everything was in shambles. The war had done all of that. But you know what happened eventually? When this woman, first female African president, came in to office, she cleared Liberia's national debt of $4.9 billion. She increased the national budget from $80 million to $649.7 million in 6 years. GDP growth rate of 9%, dropped inflation from 17.5 to 7.5, and increased their foreign investment to $16 billion. Can you imagine? That's a woman. Where men were fighting and destroying everything. Look at what a woman came and did. We all know our late Professor Dora Akunyili, how she eradicated counterfeit drugs and unsafe food in Nigeria. Unfortunately, Nigeria seems to be going back to that era. We hope that things will get better. We all know, many of us know about the British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, how she inherited a decaying society in 1979 with unemployment, but she eventually came in and helped the poor people to buy houses, reduce taxes, and improve Britain's economy. She led Britain from 1979 to 1990, and Britain was on top. Ever since that Margaret Thatcher left Britain, Britain has not been able to, you know, maintain its stability since then. We all know Angela Merkel. This is her 4th term in office, and she saved the euro when the euro currency was about to collapse. And she helped Germany to blossom economically in spite of global economic crisis, introduced parents' benefit, minimum wage in 2015. Germany did not have a minimum wage until 2015. Can you imagine? Yeah. So let's talk about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala of Nigeria. She chaired the replenishment of over $40 billion for the International Development Association, homegrown economic reform, tripled the growth rate, negotiated the cancellation of 60% of Nigeria's external debt, and now she's the managing director of the World Trade Organization. Isn't that exciting? This woman is a trailblazer, and I have met her, you know, physically, and she's, oh my God, she's such a mother. She's such a wonderful person. So as much as she's doing all the things she's doing in career, she still has the emotions and the, you know, the passion and the intuitiveness of a woman. And so she brings all of that into leadership, and that's why she's so successful. So I'm going to be concluding very, very soon. And this is a picture of me in 2015 when I went for the Tech Women Fellowship. And this was the Assistant Secretary of State for Education. Oh, sorry, where am I getting this from? I don't know what I did that I have this. Okay. So this was the Assistant Secretary of State for Cultural Affairs in 2015, US Secretary of State, Assistant Secretary of State. And so during my Tech Women Fellowship, I met somebody. She was the richest billionaire in the world. After that, she had problems, so she's no longer, you know, the richest person, a female billionaire in the world, richest female billionaire in the world. Youngest female billionaire in the world. As at that time, she was 31 years old. She was the youngest self-made female billionaire. And she said she was talking to us. There were 100 of us from different countries of the world that were in that meeting. And she was talking to us, and she said she's making us her iron sisters. So she is one woman. She's calling us her iron sisters. She will do what she can to help all of us rise so that we will in turn go and pick our own iron sisters. So one woman should go back to her community and pick 100 other women and help them to rise in leadership and in governance. You understand? And in prosperity and in economic, you know, stability and all of that. So I am adding now that, you know, this woman, the youngest female billionaire I was telling you about, she said one man, 100 women. I am adding my own now. I'm saying one man, every man that is here, think about 100 women in your community that you can mentor, that you can push to move forward and get into government, get into governance, get into leadership. And all of us will be the better for it. And I can tell you that when the benefits come, when the country becomes better, who gets the glory? It's you who is the leader on top. But other people are working and getting fulfilled and, you know, utilizing their God-given potentials and fulfilling their human rights, and they are making progress. But the glory is coming to you. So it is wisdom to sponsor other women. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I have this activity. If there is time, we can do it. But if there's no time, well, maybe some other time. So if the leaders of Leadtots, you know, can handle this, probably you can also do this. You can break the people into breakout rooms and let each group list 3 compelling reasons why female participation in governance is important, and list 2 reasons why females don't participate in governance, and suggest 3 solutions and state who should solve the problem. I have given you quite a number of points already, but I want to beg you to use your own creativity, your own thinking, and come up with new ideas. What I've said is not all that, you know, that can be said about this, and that's not all that can be done about it. So you can use your own ideas and do that. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm really very grateful. So I'll stop the share, depending on what Sharon wants us to do.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma.
You're welcome.
Yeah, excited with this session. Yeah. Actually, we have missed your touch in our trainings in the past 2 years or 3 years. So welcome back, Ma.
Thank you.
The group session, we're going to, because of time, we're going to be doing it offline. Okay. There are existing groups already. We have 6 groups: Team Lead, Team Inspire, Team Engage, Team Learn, Team Lead, and Learn. We have 6 of those groups, so they will engage themselves on that assignment. I'll be sharing it on their WhatsApp platforms later on in the day, and the day will continue. And then when we create, what we'll do is I'll also put up a forum for the discussion under the course. So later on, when you have a chance, go to the forum and see the responses from the group work.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Ma?
Yeah.
Okay. Barrister is saying hello to you. I can see her waving at you. She has been on since the beginning of this training.
Oh, interesting. Barrister, it's good to see you.
You can meet yourself, Ma. Okay, so we're glad, Ma. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I believe conversations will continue later. If you don't mind, we share your contacts.
Okay.
Or probably you can go on the portal and just share, put up your contacts and make it public for anybody who are among the participants who want to reach out.
Shemu, you can do that, please. Just share my email.
Okay, it's okay, Ma.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope I'm permitted to run.
Yes, please. You can
because now it's 6:27. I have to prepare for the day. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah. Enjoy yourself, man.
Thank you.
And my regards to everybody.
They will hear. Thank you so
much. You. Welcome back, Stamina. We're glad we've been expecting you.
Perfect. I would like to start by apologizing for the technical issues that we had sometime earlier, which has made me to start behind schedule. You have all heard my introduction, and I'll try my best to do justice to the topic I'm going to take today. So the topic of discussion now is gender-based violence, introduction to gender-based violence. Good. I believe we are going to be talking about gender-based and children and girls. And I believe you've all heard about gender-based violence in the past. Before we start, let's look at some of the things we hope to get from this discussion. We shall start first with gender-based violence and know what is, by starting with what violence is, understanding what gender is, and then knowing the difference between gender and sex. So let's look at our learning objectives. Our learning objectives for today, at the end of this session, we should be able to understand the difference between sex and gender. We should be able to know the definitions, common definitions that are associated with violence. And we also should be able to define violence, know its type and its forms, the various forms in which they occur. And then we should be able to define what gender-based violence is. Now you can see from the objective that I talked about violence, its types and its forms. Then I now went to definition of gender-based we have to know what gender is before we relate it to gender. Then we have to identify the various forms and what contributes to them, and then that let us proceed. Good. Now, many of us have agenda, and oftentimes some of us misinterpret or use the words interchangeably. From the screen here, you can see that I've listed some characteristics of sex and then gender on the one hand, the gender on the other hand. This is to enable us to know that there is a difference between sex and gender. I know you are all not new to issues of gender and gender-based violence aspects. Now, when we talk about characteristics that differentiate a male from a female, it has to do with the chromosome functions. For instance, a woman, just like the Mrs. Bessie talked about earlier, there are some things that women can do that men cannot do. And there are also other things that, there are also things that men can do that women cannot do. So these are physical, biological characteristics that differentiates us. That's what we will differentiate our sex. Now, when you go to gender, it's very different from sex, because gender has to do with societal ascription. They are the values or societal norms that have been ascribed to us to determine the way we behave based on the biological characteristics. So because I am a woman by sex, there are some norms, some beliefs about the way I'm supposed to behave. So this has nothing to do with the way I am created physically, but rather they are is related to the way the society perceive I should behave. So they ascribe roles to me as a woman, and then as a man too, they ascribe roles to you. There are certain expectations from me as a woman, and there are certain expectations. So the main difference is that's how we are created by God. Gender is not universal. It's not something we are born with. Now, as a woman, gender are things that are learned. They are attributes that are learned, they change over time, and they vary widely from culture to culture. Let me give you a good example. It is perceived in our society that women are good at cooking and taking care of the home and looking after children. However, it has been proven, this theory has been proven wrong, because we've seen male chefs, excellent male chefs that can cook more than women. So you see, because they learned it, they pulled through it. This debunk the gender role that is ascribed to women. And it's changing over time, because more men are going into cooking and are more involved in the office spaces, good at taking care of the home and caring for the children. So it's varying over time now. And it's different from culture to culture. Whereas in the Western culture, you see it's very different. Women are more outspoken, or let's even use Nigeria. In the South, women are more outspoken. They participate more in public discussion. In the northern part of the country, women are perceived to be, how do I put it, are looked upon to be more quiet, like you are more well behaved, you have better training if you are more quiet and silent in public. You are not loud. So it varies from culture to culture.